Imagine this. It's the dead of night in a fortified house deep in revolutionary Russia. A family, once rulers of a vast empire, is roused from sleep with promises of safety. But as they descend into a dimly lit basement, the air thick with unspoken dread, their world erupt in gunfire and screams. This isn't a nightmare. It's the final blood-soaked chapter of the Romanov dynasty. I bring you the harrowing tale of the basement bloodbath, where Tsar Nicholas II and his innocent family met a brutal end at the hands of Bolshevik executioners in 1918. What drove these revolutionaries to slaughter not just a deposed monarch, but his wife, 4 daughters, and sickly young son? Was it blind ideology or a calculated erasure of Russia's imperial past? This story uncovers the horrific details that shocked the world, from the chaotic shooting to the desperate attempts to hide the bodies, highlighting the bloody price of revolution. We'll delve into the mysteries surrounding their fate, rumors of survivors, hidden jewels deflecting bullets, and the children's prolonged suffering that still haunts history. But was this act of savagery inevitable, or a tragic turning point that could have been avoided? Stay tuned as I unravel the threads of ambition, betrayal, and unimaginable cruelty. Let me set the stage for you in the turbulent world of early 20th century Russia. It's 1917, and the once mighty Romanov Empire is crumbling under the weight of World War I, food shortages, and widespread discontent. Tsar Nicholas II, the last emperor of Russia, has ruled since 1894, but his decisions, like dragging the nation into a disastrous war and ignoring the cries of his starving people, have sealed his fate. Nicholas, born in 1868, was a devoted family man but a weak leader, often swayed by his wife, Alexandra, a German princess, whose reliance on the mystic Rasputin fueled scandals and whispers of treason. Their family tree was a tangled web of European royalty, marked by the curse of hemophilia that afflicted their only son, Alexei, born in 1904 after 4 daughters, Olga in 1895, Tatiana in 1897, Maria in 1899, and Anastasia in 1901. This genetic flaw, passed down from Queen Victoria, symbolized the dynasty's fragility. Alexei's bleeding episodes left the family in constant fear, amplifying Alexandra's desperation for miracle cures. As revolution erupted in February 1917, Nicholas abdicated, hoping to save his family. But the provisional government arrested them, first at Tsarskoye Selo, then exiling them to Tobolsk in Siberia. When the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in October, the Romanovs became pawns in an ideological war. Transferred to the grim Ipatiev house in Yekaterinburg, dubbed the House of Special Purpose, in April 1918, they lived under harsh guard, their windows painted over, meals meager, and freedom stripped. From birth, signs of doom were clear. As one contemporary diplomat noted in his letters, the Tsar's family is isolated, treated like criminals with no end in sight. Contrary to myths of luxurious captivity, primary sources like the Guard's reports reveal a life of boredom and anxiety, foreshadowing the horrors ahead. We'll debunk the romanticized idea that the Romanovs plotted grand escapes. Evidence from Bolshevik archives shows their communications were tightly controlled, leaving them vulnerable to the revolutionaries' whims. This context of political upheaval and familial vulnerability sets up the inexorable slide toward tragedy. Now, let's trace the path that led this royal family from the throne to the brink of oblivion, building the drama step by step. Nicholas's reign began with promise, but quickly soured. Picture this. In 1896, during his coronation, a stampede at Kodinka Field killed over 1,000 celebrants, an omen of the bloodshed to come. As I see it, this event foreshadowed the Tsar's disconnect from his people. He danced at balls while bodies piled up, Fast forward to 1905, when Bloody Sunday saw troops fire on peaceful protesters, igniting revolution and forcing Nicholas to concede a parliament. But his autocratic heart never changed. World War I amplified the chaos. By 1915, Nicholas took personal command of the army, leaving Alexandra and Rasputin to mismanage the home front. Rasputin's murder in 1916 by nobles only deepened the rift. Then, in March 1917, riots in Petrograd forced Nicholas's abdication on a train en route home. "For the sake of Russia," he wrote in his diary, a poignant admission of failure. The family was confined, but initially treated decently. In Tobolsk, they taught lessons to the children and clung to faith, as Alexandra's letters reveal. "We are all well, but the uncertainty gnaws at us." The Bolshevik takeover shifted everything. Lenin viewed the Romanovs as symbols of oppression, and with White Army forces advancing, loyalists fighting to restore the monarchy, the Ural Bolsheviks grew paranoid. In April 1918, the family was moved to Yekaterinburg under Yakov Yurovsky, a ruthless Chekist who replaced lax guards. Life in the Apatiev house was stifling. Daily roll calls, confiscated valuables, and constant surveillance. Sensory details paint the picture. The smell of cabbage soup, the sound of revolutionary songs blaring outside to drown out potential cries. Key events escalated. In June, rumors of rescue plots prompted tighter security. Yurovsky, as chronicled in his own memoirs, noted the family's jewels hidden in clothing, a desperate bid for future bargaining. Politically, this imprisonment reflected the revolution's radical turn. The Bolsheviks' ambition to eradicate the old order drove the decision. Telegrams from Moscow, though debated, implied approval for liquidation as white forces neared. Impacts were profound. The family's isolation mirrored Russia's descent into civil war, where millions would perish. For visuals, imagine grainy photos of the boarded-up house or reenactments of the Tsar pacing the yard. But it gets worse. These events culminated in a fateful night that would echo through history. Here we reach the heart-wrenching peak, where tension explodes into unimaginable horror. On the night of July 16, 1918, around midnight, Yurovsky awakened the family with a ruse. Unrest in the city required an urgent move to safety. Bleary-eyed, they dressed quickly. Nicholas in his military tunic, Alexandra and the girls in simple skirts, unknowingly armored with sewn-in jewels. With their doctor, Eugene Botkin, footman Alexei Trupp, cook Ivan Karatonov, and maid Anna Demidova, they descended to the basement, a cramped 17 by 14-foot room with bare walls and a single bulb casting eerie shadows. Yurovsky positioned them for a supposed photograph to quell escape rumors. Nicholas front and center, with Alexei on a chair, Alexandra beside him, the girls behind. The air was thick with confusion and quiet murmurs. Then 11 armed men burst in. Yurovsky, pistol in hand, read the death sentence. In view of the fact that your relatives are continuing their attack on Soviet Russia, the Ural Executive Committee has decided to execute you. Nicholas, stunned, managed only, "What? What?" before Yurovsky shot him point-blank in the chest. As Yurovsky later wrote in his 1934 account, "I fired the first shot at Nicholas, who fell dead immediately." Chaos erupted. Bullets ricocheted off the jewels in the girls' corsets, sparking panic. Witnesses described smoke filling the room, the acrid smell of gunpowder, and cries of terror. Alexandra crossed herself before being felled. The daughters huddled, wounded but alive. Maria tried to flee, but was shot in the thigh. Anastasia and Tatiana shielded each other, but bayonets followed the gunfire. Alexei, still breathing on the floor, was shot twice in the head by Yurovsky himself. Demidova screamed as she deflected stabs with a pillow stuffed with gems, only to be finished off. The slaughter lasted an agonizing 20 minutes, the children's suffering prolonged. Doctors later speculated the smoke and deflections turned it into a frenzied melee. Mysteries abound. Was it poison or fate that spared no one? Evidence debunks survivor conspiracies. Yurovsky's detailed notes confirm all perished. The bodies, bloodied and broken, were loaded onto a truck, driven to the Koptyaki forest. There, stripped, mutilated with acid, and burned, they were buried in shallow graves, Alexei and one sister, likely Maria, in a separate fire pit. This botched disposal, as Bolshevik reports admit, nearly exposed the crime when white forces arrived days later. The emotional impact is gut-wrenching. A family's trust betrayed in the most savage way. In the aftermath, the Romanov Massacre left an indelible scar on history. Symbolizing the ruthless dawn of Soviet rule, the dynasty's end accelerated the Russian Civil War, claiming millions of lives and paving the way for Stalin's terrors. Modern views, shaped by books like Robert Massey's Nicholas and Alexandra, and films such as The Last Tsars, often romanticize the family, but primary sources reveal Nicholas's failures contributed to the chaos. Debunking myths. Hollywood's Anastasia tales, fueled by imposters like Anna Anderson, were shattered by 1990s DNA tests confirming the remains. No survivors escaped that basement. The family's canonization by the Russian Orthodox Church in 2000 reflects enduring spiritual legacy, turning tragedy into martyrdom. In my opinion, this underscores human resilience amid horror, reminding us of power's corrupting force. This tragic tale of the Romanov Massacre serves as a chilling reminder of ambition's catastrophic cost, where a midnight awakening ended an empire in screams. Yet, from such darkness, we learn the value of compassion and the perils of unchecked ideology. Thanks for joining me on this journey through history's shadows. Keep exploring, and remember, the past shapes our future.